this this is going to be an interactive session. So instead of me talking a lot, we are going to have a lot of discussions. We are going to give you certain examples and ask for your opinion as well. So it will be interesting for both of us rather than me talking a lot. Okay. So if you see here, if you see in this particular Breezy file, you can see that there are 6 things which are available for you. Okay, which are going to be representing the chapters that we are going to deal with. Okay, so starting with the introduction of the course, basics about project management, and then after that we are going to have the actual chapters, starting with initiation, planning, execution, controlling, and then finally closing. Now, before starting, can anybody tell me what is the meaning of a project? What do you think a project is? Since we are going to deal with a lot of projects, since it's project management, how would we define project? What do you think a project is? Is project only limited to business? Is it limited to construction? Yeah, you can answer directly in the chat box. You can directly answer in the chat box, everyone, if you have something to write. Okay, set of work with one aim. Okay. Like a plan. It may be a goal we want to accomplish. Other than that, your answers something to be done. Okay, your answers are partially correct. Okay, your answers are partially correct. Okay. So it's to establish something new, but once again, certain things are missing. Okay. Now the closest term for a project for you as students is what exactly? Okay. Okay. So an activity to meet creation of a unique service product somehow. Now see, instead of memorizing in this course, I keep saying for the students, okay, you need to think about things which are surrounding you. Okay, now everyone, or almost all of you, are thinking about big things that we cannot normally imagine because we didn't enter into that particular field. People are thinking about business, people are thinking about service, product. Now, the easiest thing that you are interacting with throughout the last 3-4 years is the project that you have taken in the college. Right? You kept calling the projects that you are taking a project. Okay, whether you are an architectural engineering student or you are a civil engineering student. If you understood the basics of what is happening in your project in the college, you will understand the basics of project. Okay. So for you, instead of memorizing, you need to understand, relate to something which is surrounding you, and then you can explain things easily. Now you will see, if we try to see the project that we are taking in the college, we'll see that the project that we are taking in the college is going to be having a definite start. Okay. They start at the beginning of the semester and then they end up at the end of the semester. Right? Whether it's 1 semester or 2 semesters, eventually they have a starting point and they have an end point. So when we talk about project, one of the things that it should be temporary. Okay, project will never last forever. Are we okay with the first point? Are we okay with temporary? That the fact is temporary? Okay. Now, is if it's not necessary to be done, would I do it? If I don't need to do it, would I go and do it? Why are you taking the project in the college? Can I say no, I don't want to take the project in the college? Is it optional? Is it optional for you to say that I don't want to take the projects in the college? Okay. It's not optional, right? So it's part of something that I need to accomplish. There is a certain aim. My aim going to the college is to get the certificate. Okay. In order for me to get a certificate, I need to take that particular project. Okay. So when we talk about projects, we talk about targeting a certain aim. Okay. We target a certain aim. I cannot do something just for the sake of doing it without any accomplishment. Okay, so now we have defined two things. We said it's temporary always, and we have said, okay, and we have said that we need to have a certain aim or a certain target. Okay, and then we'll come to the other attributes or the other characteristics of a project. But once again, what I would recommend you to do not think of things which are too big, and then you will be forcing yourself to memorize. Keep thinking about things which are surrounding you. It will make things to be easier for you. Whenever you think of a project, link it with your college project. You will never forget it, because that's something that you have lived with. Okay. Now, if you see, we have initiation, planning, execution, controlling, and then closing. Okay. Now we'll continue with the same example of the college, and then college project, and then we'll go to bigger scale projects a little bit. Now, what's the first thing that you normally do, whether you are an architect or whether you are a civil engineer? What is the first thing you will do if you have been given a project course, whether it's a project course or architectural design 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever? Okay, because we have students from architectural and students from civil. Okay, research about what exactly? Understanding about the requirements of the project. Okay. Okay. Other than that, make a plan. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do normally, once again, Ahmed Al Hadi, do not think of a bigger scale. We'll come to that thing later. Strategical plan is something which is huge as well. Now, see, most of you are still thinking of a bigger scale. I'm asking you to think of the college things that you have done. Now, the first thing, before doing anything, which has been answered by Azan, the first thing that we normally do is to select a topic. Now, I cannot go and start planning. And I don't have a topic or a title to start with. Right? Are we fine? Are we okay? Yeah. So we cannot start planning unless I have something at the beginning. Okay. I need to have a title. Even when I start doing the research, I need to keep something in my head, and then I'll be able to start researching. and I cannot go and research searching for nothing. So at least there must be an idea. Let's say not a full title, but there must be an idea for me on what exactly is required to be done in this particular project. Okay. So when we talk about initiation, okay, when we talk about initiation is starting, is another term for starting. So when we start any type of a project, first thing, we need to have different ideas. Okay, so initiation is more about having different ideas. Let's say that I have 70,000 Omani Riyal. Okay, I have 70,000 Omani Riyal and I had decided to start a business. Okay, what businesses would you recommend for 70,000 Omani Riyal? The others, they can participate as well. So you will understand. Let's say I have 70,000 Omani Riyal and I said like I'm going to go for a business project. What project, like can you give me 70,000? 70,000 is too less for a mall, of course. Okay. Okay, let's say a mall. Other than the mall, can you give me another two? Anybody? Restaurant? Another person? Last one. Okay. So let's say that I have okay. Okay. So let's say that I have four options. Um, I said I'm having 70,000 Oman riyal and I'm planning to start a business. So I have four options now. One is a mall, another one is a restaurant, a third one is a shop, construction, a commercial building, for example. So we have different choices are there. What is the next step to check or to say that this particular option is better than the other options? So now after deciding on the ideas, see I started the project now. The project started by deciding the ideas. So I started the initiation stage, which is the starting point. Okay, so I said I have different opinions: restaurant, shop, commercial, construction, mall, whatever. How would you say that this is good and this is not a good option? Okay, what the people need in the place, the need around. Okay, we need to do something called visibility study. Okay, we need to do something called visibility study. Okay, visibility study is where you are evaluating your project in terms of financial aspects and in terms of risks and other stakeholder issues. Okay, we are going to see, for example, if I enter to the mall, I paid 70,000. How much do I need? How much do I return back? If I went for a commercial building, if I paid this 70,000, I return it back in how many years or how many months? Okay. So after finding the ideas, the next step is to evaluate them, and this is what we call as visibility study. In Arabic, we call it دراسة جدوى. Okay, so any type of project is referring to or is having a visibility study. Even in your college project, when you talk to your supervisor that I have these topics, and the supervisor says for you, no, this topic is a little bit complicated for you. He is checking whether you can do that particular project or not, and this is where visibility is occurring. Visibility whether it can be done or is it recommended to be done or not. Are we okay? Are we fine? Okay. Am I speaking slowly? Am I speaking in a faster pace? Do you want me to speed up, to slow down? Let me know. Are we okay now with the pace? Once again, everyone, can you just mute your mics, please? Okay. So now let's say after doing the visibility study, I have said that a restaurant is the best option for me, for example. Okay. Now what's the next step? What is the next step? I decided already that a restaurant is to be done. What's the next step? Okay. Location. Any other person? The materials need. Can everyone make sure that your mics are off? Okay. Site plan. It should be okay. Everyone is the lecture. You cannot see the lecture. You cannot see the what you call the breezy. You are not able to see the background. For the others, are you able to see this background? Okay. No, nothing. My Windows is not hiding anything. Okay. Okay. So going here. Yeah, this chat box is available, but anyhow, this is only to just see whatever you are writing. Okay. Now, so we have decided to go for a restaurant. The second thing after deciding, checking the visibility. In the visibility, one thing to be taken into account, you will be deciding a rough location, of course. Okay. Without deciding the location and the other things, you cannot have the visibility study, right? You cannot say how much you will be paying for the rent, whether it's good or not. So these will be included in the visibility study. After deciding the restaurant, the next step is to start planning. Start planning in the sense that what will be included inside, um, the exact building, for example, where it's going to be located at, and what to be offered inside the restaurants and the other things. Okay. So the second thing is going to be planning, where we start going a little bit detailed about this particular project. So once again, we have initiation, where we said that we are going to start thinking about different ideas, evaluating them in a visibility study, checking the best idea, and then we need to take it to planning, where we start checking what are the things to be offered in the restaurant, how many laborers will be there, where is the final location, and the other things. Okay, so that's the plan. Now, after you plan, what do we have after planning normally? What do we have after planning? Execution. What's the meaning of execution? After you plan for something, what will you do? start working. Okay, start working or doing your plan. Okay, we are going to start working or doing our plan. So when we talk about execution, when we talk about execution, we refer to start working or making out our plan. Okay. So once again, idea, evaluating the idea, planning for it. Planning involves and include anything related to the design. After the design, after everything is set in the planning, I'm going to take it one further step that I'm going to start working on my plan. Okay. And after working on my plan, there will be a process where controlling is. So what's the meaning of controlling? What do you think controlling is? What's the meaning of controlling? Solving the problems. Other than that, what do you mean by controlling? To be able to handle the whole project, manage your income? No? No. 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 Why do you need to have a plan? Okay, before going and explaining controlling, why do you need to have a plan? If you understand why do you need to have a plan, then you can answer easily what's the meaning of controlling. Why do we do a plan? Why don't we directly start working? No. Okay, to follow a strategy or to make it simple, to make things organized. Okay, when we do planning, we make things organized. Okay, to organize the work or to make it organized. Okay, now for me, when I make a plan, I should follow whatever I have planned for, right? When I made a plan, it means that I need to follow this plan because it will lead me to the success. It will lead me to start opening my restaurant. Okay. Now, what will happen? There is something called plan. Okay. There is something called plan, and there is something called actual, where we are talking about planning and we are talking about execution here. Okay. Now, this execution should follow whatever I have planned for. Are we okay? I planned for something. Okay, I planned for something, and then I try to work out my plan. Now, this actual reality should be following my plan, right? Do I need to keep checking whether it's following the plan or not? Do I need to check, or it's not important? It's important, right? Okay. So when we start comparing reality versus planning, this is what we call as controlling and monitoring. Are we fine? Controlling means you are comparing your plan with whatever you are doing in reality. If anything in reality goes wrong, I need to return it back to whatever is there in the plan. Are we fine? Are we fine? What's the meaning of controlling? Okay. There is a small difference between monitoring and controlling. Okay, there is a small difference between monitoring and controlling. What's monitoring? Another name for the screen of the computer, we call it as monitor, right? Another name for the screen of the computer or the PC, we call it as a monitor, right? So when we talk about monitoring, we refer only about checking whether there is a difference between the plan and the actual. Okay. Okay, so monitoring is to check whether the plan is followed or not. Monitoring is where you are checking the plan versus the actual, only checking and doing the reports that this is different from this one. The actual is different from the plan. When you start doing actions to return back the actual into the plan, we call it as controlling. If you are only checking, we call it as monitoring. We are only monitoring, we are only checking. If you see that it goes wrong, the reality, you are doing something wrong, and you need to return back to the plan, then you are doing some action. If you are doing any action, then we call it to be controlling. Are we okay? Are we fine? So monitoring is without action. Controlling, whenever you see something is wrong, you will interfere and do an action for it. Okay. And the last point is going to be closing, where it's going to be ending up the final formalities regarding the project, that you have paid all the required amounts, that you have received your restaurant fully from the different other parties like the contractor or the designer or other parties. Okay. So once again, for each and every project, okay, for each and every project, we have different processes, and these are mainly 5 process groups. First, we need to have an idea, checking the idea whether it's good or not. That's the visibility study. Start planning for my idea, working out my plan, doing the controlling to check whether you are following the plan or not, and then finally, we are going to be closing out. In your college project, we are starting by picking up a topic. After picking a topic, you are thinking what to be submitted. Okay, so normally the plan is given to you by the lecturers that in week number 1 you will be submitting introduction, week number 2 you will be submitting a literature review, and it goes on. Okay, so this is my plan. The plan is to submit these things. Execution is where I'm working already now to submit these things. So this is my execution. Controlling is where they are checking whether I'm following the plan or not. I should submit the introduction tomorrow. If I didn't submit, the lecturer is going to reduce my mark. So this is part of controlling, where they are checking whether you are doing whatever has been planned or not. Are we fine? And closing involves whenever the full project has been closed or has finished. Okay. So once again, project management is not a course which is complicated. It's not a course which requires memorization. The only thing that, once again, I keep reminding you, try to think of things which are surrounding you, and it will make this course to be very, very easy course, and it will make it a fun course as well. Okay. Anyhow, so we said we have 5 processes for any type of a project, whether we are referring to a business project, whether we are referring to a construction project, a college project, whatever type of a project, we have 5 different phases or 5 different process groups. We call them process groups. Anyhow, going to the introduction of the course. Now you'll see that we are having 2 things. One is project management, and then an interactive example. We'll go first in the project management. We'll discuss certain things over there, especially regarding your assessments, and then we'll go to the actual part where our study will start. Okay. So if you see here, there are certain things there are certain things that we are going to tackle. I'm not going to discuss them now, although I have discussed them with the other section, but these are not that important to be discussed. These are important to be taught. Okay, so we are going to take them in the chapters one by one. But these are the things you will be able to know, or you will be able to do at the end of this particular semester, hopefully, inshallah. Okay. Now for the assessment, since this is the biggest questions, our biggest question normally the students are asking, we are going to have a pop-up quiz. Okay, this pop-up quiz is going to be for 1 or 2 questions, and these are going to be for each and every lecture. And then finally, these questions will be added up. The marks of the questions will be added up till getting 10 marks. Okay, so 10 marks are purely for attendance. It's going to be either in the e-learning or it's going to be in the Teams, where I'm going to write a question for you and then you need to answer. It can be at any time of the lecture. It can be at the first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes, anytime, just to check whether you are following the lecture or you are somewhere else. Okay. This is what I said when I talked about the 2 different sections in the e-learning and 1 section in the Teams. So most probably for me, I'm going to do the question in the e-learning, okay, where I'm going to allow you for 5 minutes to go and answer that particular question. Okay, that question is not going to be complicated. It is just for the sake of checking whether you are there at that time or not. Okay. After that, the second assessment is test number 1. And test number 1 is going to be for 15 marks, and it's going to be a multiple choice questions in format, most probably. Okay. The second one is going to be test 2, and that's going to be week 8. And once again, it's going to be multiple choice questions for in format for 15 marks. So 30 marks for test 1 and test 2. There is no mid-exam. Okay, there is no mid-exam for engineering courses unless specified by the lecturer. And then we have an assignment, which is going to be from week 9 to week 12, where we are going to do a full-time planning, a full-time networking, using a software. I'll teach you how to use that particular software, which is going to help you in securing and getting a job later on. Finally, it's going to be a final examination where the format is going to be decided later, but most probably it's going to be a multiple choice as well. It's not yet finalized, but whenever there is a final decision, I will let you know. Now, most probably this week I'm not going to do, or this lecture, there will not be, of course, there will not be an attendance quiz. Starting from next class or next week, so you need to be prepared for that particular thing in the next class, just in case if I have asked you that question. Okay, are we okay with the assessment? Are we fine with the assessment? Okay. So we are going to go for the interactive. We are going to go for the interactive example, where we start our journey in this particular course. Now, unfortunately, due to the situation of the college, we were planning to have it physically, but due to the circumstances, we are forced to go online. Anyhow, my way of teaching this course is a little bit different, where I'm using interactive examples rather than forcing the students to go through the handout and keep memorizing. Okay, so the first task that I was planning to give you is to start creating a tower. Okay, so I'll bring certain materials for you, and I'll be asking you to go and do a certain structure. Okay. And whenever I'm having any interactive example, that interactive example is going to teach you the basics of certain topics of management without the need of memorizing it. Okay. So whenever you think about it, you will remember that I have created this thing which has taught me this thing. We'll see now. Okay. So I would have asked the student to go and choose or to group themselves into groups of 4 or 5 members, and they need to choose a leader. Okay, they need to go and choose a leader. And normally the students, whatever they are going to do, they are going to choose their friends. Okay, they are going to choose their friends, and we'll see what are the issues of picking friends, whether they are good or whether they are not good as well. Okay, and then we are asking them to choose one leader. So they need to form a group of 4 to 5 members, choose one leader. I have given them 20 minutes in duration, so they need to finish the task in 20 minutes. Budget is $2,000, so I have given them $2,000. And then I have told them, you need to make a tower. It's going to be either the tallest or longest or the most beautiful. You need to choose among these 3 categories, and you need to start working on your tower. You need to start building your tower. And I have told them time can be extended for 5 minutes if the panel agreed. So there will be a panel who is going to listen to the leader. Leader will go to them whenever he feels that the time is not sufficient. He needs to go to the panel and he asks them that they want extra 5 minutes, and he needs to go and convince them to get that 5 minutes. Okay. And then bridge or tower, to be accurate, tower construction materials can be purchased from the panel. Okay, so you have been given $2,000. It's up to you to go and choose whatever materials are available from the panel. Okay. Now, if you go and see, each and every point that I have mentioned here, I have mentioned it for a certain reason. Okay, where we can see them later on in these particular points. Okay, so we are going to start with project attributes or project, let's say project characteristics. Okay, project characteristics. What are the things known in projects normally? Okay, so we have just one second. Okay, we have the first one. We have the first one that is unique. Okay. Now already we explained the fact which is unique, right? What's the meaning of unique? What's the meaning of unique? Special. Other than special. Something different. Nothing is like it. Okay. 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 So we have two terminologies. Okay. We have two terminologies in project management. We have something called project, and we have something called an operation. Okay. We have something called a project, and we have something called operation. Two things: project and operation. Whenever the thing is unique or you are doing it for the first time, we call it as a project. Whenever it's a copy from something else, we call it as an operation. Are we okay? Are we fine? We have project and we have operation. If you're doing it for the first time, of course it will involve certain issues, certain complications, some certain difficulties. We call it as project. Now, if it's a copy of something you have done previously, exact copy, then we call it as operation. Are we fine? Do you want me to give you an example to check whether you understood or not? Some examples? Okay. So I have given you two sets of forms. Okay. I have given you two sets of forms that you need to fill. Okay, a paper form, and I have asked you to fill. Okay. Now, would you go and fill directly, or sometimes when you start filling, because it's a new form that you need to fill, you might be having. No, it's fine. I don't think students should be having a problem entering. Anyhow, if the student is having any issue in terms of entering, let them contact me through the Teams. Okay, and I'll try to sort it out. Anyhow, this is recorded, and they can refer to it at any time. Okay. So once again, returning back to the example of form. Okay, returning back to the example of form. I have given you the form. Now, normally when you have the form, what will happen? You will read carefully because it's the first time for you to fill that form, right? And if you have any doubts, you will go and ask the person who has given you the form to clarify things for you, right? Because you are doing it for the first time. So when you are doing it for the first time, it's considered to be a new project for you. It's something which is new. I have still doubts what to fill, how to fill, what to write here, what not to write. Are you okay? Now, the second form that I have given you is an exact copy of the first one. Do you need to think? Or you will work without even thinking second time? Once again, two forms. I have given you the first form, you filled it. And then later on, I told you you need to fill the second form, which is exactly the same copy. Okay, which is exactly the same copy. Okay, without asking, because it's a copy of the first one, right? It's a copy of the first one. Okay, I think Asila, because of the network issue that you are having. Okay, I think it's because of the network issues. Anyhow, this video is recorded. This video is recorded, so you can refer to it at any time. And just send me in the Teams, so we'll try to sort out the issue. But I believe it's a network issue. Okay. So whatever I have said, we have projects and we have operation. If something we are doing for the first time, we call it as project. If we are doing it a copy of something that we have done previously, an exact copy, we call it as an operation. Okay. So for example, I have given you two sets of forms. The first form you filled, but while filling the first form, normally when this is done when we fill forms for the first time, we keep reading and then we keep reading and then we ask whenever we have doubts. Okay. Now the second form appears to be an exact copy of the first one. Now for the second copy, I don't need to go and ask anybody because it's an exact copy. It does not involve any challenge. It does not involve anything which is new. Are you okay? It's not unique in nature. Nothing is unique about it. They have done it already. Are you okay? Okay. So project are unique. Operation are not. Do you want me to give you another example to test you? Okay. So let's say iPhone or Apple has decided not necessary, not necessary to be done more than one time. And I'll give you certain examples. Okay. Now, let's say Apple has decided to create the iPhone 12. Okay. They create their iPhone 12. Now, iPhone 12, is it considered to be a project or operation? Think and then answer. Okay, this is how we are going to, this is how I'm going to teach the course. There will be a lot of examples where you need to think and then um, discuss. So is it a project or is it an operation? Project, operation. Okay. Both. What is the question? The question says if Apple is planning to do their iPhone 12, that iPhone 12 is considered to be a project or is it considered to be an operation? Tawaddud, how is it both? Some have said operation, some have said project. Tawaddud, how is it both? Just 1 second. Yes. How is it both? Operation is only development of the idea. Okay. So we have operation, it's the same but with unique things. Okay. Now the correct answer actually, the correct answer for the question is it's both. Uh, it's both. It's both project and operation, and I'll be explaining why. So they didn't explain it that much in a good way, but anyhow. Now, when Apple is doing the iPhone, okay, just concentrate with me. When Apple is trying to do the iPhone, now the first iPhone, the first one, the first model that they are making, does it involve complication and difficult things? The first model that they are making, does it include challenges, difficulties, and other things? When they are trying to make the first model, does it involve? So they will make directly the iPhone 12, or they need to go under a lot of testing. They need to go into a lot of difficulties and challenges first. They need to do a lot of trials to make up the first model. The first model I'm talking of is referring to the first piece, the first piece that Apple is doing. The first piece Apple is doing, it will not have difficulties. It will not have challenges they face. It will, right? It will. It will have. So when we talk about the first piece or the first model, there will always be challenges because it's something new. I didn't do. True that I have done iPhone 11, iPhone 10, and whatever, but there are things in iPhone 12. There are things which are there in iPhone 12 which were not there previously. We didn't try them. So the first piece that we are doing is considered to be a project. Whenever we finalize that particular piece, the remaining iPhone 12 are going to be an operation. Are we fine? Are we okay? So first one, okay. So first one is involving a lot of challenges. That's why it's a project. Whenever we finish the first model, directly whatever comes after is a copy of that one only. Okay. Once again. Okay. Let me give you another example. Let's go that Mercedes is trying to manufacture their new car. When they are trying to come up with the first car, the finalized first car, do they need to have, I mean, are they doing something unique, or is it a copy of something they have done already? They are trying to do their new car. They didn't do it previously. Something new. Okay. So I have started doing my something new, this car. We have finalized it already. We have done a lot of modification, a lot of things, and we came up with the car. Now everything is okay with that car now. The other copies are going to be a repetition, or do I need to modify? If I already have finished my car, the other copies, the other cars, do I need to change, or are they going to be a copy only? Okay. So first one, when you are trying to do something unique, this is a project. Whenever you finalize it and you started copying it exactly, that's considered to be an operation. Are we fine? Are we fine? Okay. Okay. Now, another example. Let's say that, for example, I took the course of project management. Okay, I took the course of project management and I have failed in the course. Okay, and I took it next semester. Okay, I failed last semester and I'm taking it this semester. Which one is considered to be a project? Which one is considered to be an operation? Once again, I failed it last semester, and I'm taking it this semester. Which one of them is a project? Which one of them is an operation? First time is a project. Okay. Okay. Last one is project. Okay. Last semester. Okay. Now, most of you have missed the point. Okay, most of you have missed the point of the difference between unique between project and operation. Actually, as Ahmed said, okay, as Ahmed says or Ahmed said, both of them are considered to be project. Okay, both of them are considered to be project. Why? Last semester I have taken the course. There were different students, right? This semester, when I took it, the students are different. So already there is one unique thing. Tests last semester, they are different from the tests in this semester. So that's another unique thing. We said if it's an exact copy, it does not involve anything new, then at that time we can say that it's an operation. If it involves anything to be unique, then it's a new project. Are we fine? Project depends on everything. Are we okay? Are we fine? Okay. Okay. See, when you talk about project and operation, you refer to the concept of new or not. If it does not involve new things, it means it's not unique. If it's not unique, then it's an operation. If it's a new, then it's a new unique in nature. If it's unique in nature, then it's a project. Is it clear, Johanna? Yes. If any work that involves anything new is going to be considered as a project. Okay, last example. Last year I constructed one twin villa in Ma'bela. Last year. Okay. This month, I'm going to construct another twin villa in Ma'bela. Are they projects or operations? Or one of them project and one of them is operation? Okay. Projects. Both of them are going to be projects because the labors that they were there, it's different. Maybe the design was different. So any difference between these two, although that they are the same, that they are twin villas, but if anything involves any difference between the first one and the second one, we call them projects rather than an operation. Okay, so I think now the idea is clear. The second point is temporary. Okay, second point is temporary. What's the meaning of temporary? We already explained this one earlier. We refer temporary that it has a definite start and a definite end. It will eventually end. Are we okay? When we talk about temporary, it means that it has a start and it has an end. Are we fine? Okay. So third one, progressive elaboration. What's the meaning of progressive elaboration? Okay, progressive elaboration. What does it mean? Progressive elaboration. Okay, progress. What's the meaning of progress? Okay, progress is a step. Okay, so we are doing something step by step. Elaboration. 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 Progress, we said phases, steps. That's fine, no problem. Elaboration. Okay, so elaboration is to make it little bit clearer. Okay, elaboration is to make it little bit clearer. Are we okay? So now, when you start any project at the beginning, when you started your college project, and you picked a title, how much information you will know about this topic? Are you going to have a lot of information? I picked a topic for my project in the college. Okay. Would you have a lot of information about the topic? Not that much, right? You will not have a lot of information, right? Okay. Now, after the mid presentation, will you have more information? When you will come closer to the final, will you have more than the mid? Okay. So you should know what's the meaning of progressive elaboration then. When we start picking, when we start picking any topic or any project, at the beginning the picture is not clear. We have only a few information. Whenever time passes, you will see that the amount of information or the picture is becoming little bit clearer for us. Are we okay? Okay, so that's the meaning of progressive elaboration. At the first time, picture is not that clear. Whenever time passes, you will see that the amount of information or the picture is becoming a little bit clearer. Okay? Requires resources. Can you do any type of a project without resources? Can you do your college project without a supervisor, without a laptop, without books, without internet? Can you do a construction project without labor, without machinery, without materials? Okay. So we cannot do any type of a project without resources. Okay. We're going to a primary sponsor or a customer. Now, what's the difference between a primary? What's the difference between a primary sponsor or a customer? What's the difference between a sponsor or a customer? Or sponsor and an owner? Sponsor, owner, customer. What are the differences between them? Sponsor, customer, and owner. To give money, for example, sponsor. Customer who will buy product. Okay. Who will help? Sponsor is a supporter. Okay. Who gives the money? Okay, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example and then you will understand. Okay. Now, I'm planning to construct my house. Okay, I'm planning to construct my house. The house is costing me 60,000 Omani Riyal. Okay, my house is going to cost me around 60,000 Omani Riyal. I have only 40,000. Okay, I have only 40,000, and my father has helped me paying the remaining 20,000. Are we okay? So the project or the construction of my house, my new house, will be costing me 60,000. Okay, I have 40,000, and then my father has helped me with the remaining money, that is 20,000. Who is the owner? Who's the owner? Okay, okay. And who is the sponsor? And who is the sponsor? Okay. So sponsor, just to make it a bit clearer, okay, just to make it a bit clearer, sponsor is a person who is paying certain amount of money, but he does not own. He does not have the ownership. Are we fine? Owner is a person who is going to pay. Sometimes he will not pay, but he is the person to own. Okay? The difference is the ownership. Who owns that thing? So it's my house. He has helped me, but eventually it's my house. Are we okay? Customer, customer and owner, they are what you call, um, they are interrelated terms. Normally, customer is the same as an owner. Customer is more used in businesses, more used in business, in construction and the other fields we use more of an owner. Okay? Eventually, customer is a person uh, who will get the product or the service. Not necessary. Not necessary, Amira, not necessary. Okay. Client. So that's another term. Client, owner, customer. That's these are interrelated terminologies. Okay. Last thing involves uncertainty. What's the meaning of involves uncertainty? Involves uncertainty. What's the meaning of certain? What's the meaning of certain? I am certain that this will happen. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, certain means I'm sure that it will happen. Uncertain means I'm not sure. I don't know whether it will happen or not. Are we okay? Certain means sure. Uncertain means you are unsure or you don't know whether it will happen or not. Are we okay? So when we talk about projects, projects are done in the past or present or in the future. The projects that you are doing now, they are mainly done in future, right? The projects mainly are done in a future, right? In the future, would you know what will happen? Okay, in the future, would you know what will happen? No. Okay, so it involves a lot of things that you don't know anything about. Okay, it involves a lot of things that you don't know about. Like, for example, a person was planning to graduate from the college in summer. But what has happened? Corona came and the student couldn't graduate. He didn't know that this will happen. Are we okay? So when we talk about projects, we talk about uncertainty. Since we are dealing with future, we wouldn't know whether this will happen or not. Are we okay? Okay. I'll just give you now an example. Will you bring one of these to define them? No, I don't bring definitions. As a person, I don't bring definitions. I don't ask my students to memorize. Okay. So if we go and see example, one example going from the beginning to the end to understand the characteristics, we'll see that, see, as a person, okay, as a person, as a student, I entered to the college for one unique reason, is to get the certificate. So my project was entering to the college and then getting this certificate. That's why it's unique. I didn't do something similar to it. Temporary. I entered to the college or university at a certain year. I'm going to eventually leave the college or the university at a certain period. So it's temporary. It has a starting point, it has an end point. Progressive elaboration. When I entered to the college, I didn't have much information about my specialization, for example. So I had few information when I was in the first year, that civil engineering is about this thing or architectural engineering is about that thing. But later on, when I started moving on the levels, you will see that the amount of information that I know about my specialization is getting more. So more in diploma second year and then a little bit more in advanced diploma. And you will see that whenever you reach to your BTech level, you will see that you will know more information about your specialization. So it's a progressive elaboration. At the beginning, the picture is not clear. Whenever we come near to the end, you will see that the picture is getting clearer. Requires resources. I cannot, what's it called, do my college work without a lecturer, without books, without stationery, without internet. So any type of a project requires resources, the same as whatever is available in your college. Sponsor or a customer. Most of you are, I mean, we have two situations in the college. We have a part-timers, okay, and we have the government. Okay, we have part-timers and we have the government or the government. Okay, so these part-timers are paying for themselves, so they are self-sponsored. Okay, they are sponsoring themselves, they are paying for themselves. Okay, for those who are full-timers, the government has sponsored your study, the government is paying the fees for you. Okay, eventually who will own the certificate? The part-timer will own his certificate, and for your case you will own your certificate. Who has sponsored you? It's something which is different. He was self-sponsored, he was the one paying for himself. For your case, you were, your studies were paid by the government, so your sponsor was the government. Uncertainty, and once again we said, I didn't know when I entered to the college, I didn't know that whether I'm going to pass or fail these courses, because that's in the future. I didn't know that, for example, Ngono will occur, or COVID or Corona is going to happen as well. So I didn't know that these are going to happen. Since we are dealing with future in project, we deal with a lot of uncertainty. That's why we need to be careful on dealing with certain things called risks, and we'll learn how to deal with risks later on. Okay. Are we okay? Are we okay till now? Are we fine? Okay. So we'll take the last part and then we'll stop. Okay. We'll take the last part and then we'll stop. Okay. What's the meaning of restraint? Okay, we have something called project restraint. What's the meaning of a restraint? What's the meaning of a restraint? Limit. Okay. Okay. So there is a certain limit that I should not exceed. Okay, I should not exceed. If I exceeded this limit, what will happen? If I exceeded the limit, what will happen? Consequences, or I'll fail. Okay, I'll fail my project. Means I didn't do the project correctly. Okay. Okay, let us keep it that I didn't do the project correctly. Okay, I didn't do the project correctly. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say that I told you that there will be an exam tomorrow at 8 a.m. for example. Okay, there will be an exam at 8 a.m. and it will close at 9 a.m. So from 8 to 9. One student entered to the exam at 8:55. Okay, and he finished the exam at 9:30. And he tried to to submit. Is it possible to submit? Once again, the exam was from 8 to 9. He entered 8:55. He finished his exam at 9:20. Can he submit after the time? Is it possible? It's not possible, right? Why? It was not possible because there was a limit, which was 9 o'clock, and he cannot exceed that particular limit. Are we fine? So when we talk about project constraints, okay, when we talk about project constraints, we refer about project limits. There are certain limits I should not exceed them. Now, if you remember the problem of the tower, the example of the tower, you will know that we have set 20 minutes, right? And we said that you have $2,000. So $2,000, if you remember, 20 minutes, and then we need to create a tower. If a person created a bridge instead of a tower, will it be okay? Would it be okay? Means he exceeded already the scope. The scope was to create a tower, but he has created something else. Are we okay? Once again, for the example of for the interactive example, we said I need to create, or you need to create a tower in 20 minutes with a budget of 20, with a budget of 2,000. Now he cannot say for me that the 2,000 is not sufficient. Okay, because I have already given you that these are the limits. You cannot come to me at the end say I cannot do your project because I have spent all the money. Are we okay? So there are certain limits which are there. You should not exceed this limit. Okay, and these limits, the basic limitations or the basic constraints in each and every project are time, cost, and scope. Time, cost, and scope. These are the three things, the three main things that they should not be exceeded. Are we fine? And we call these three, we call them the triangle of management. Okay, we call them the triangle of the management, where there are 3 points. One is cost, one is time, one is scope. Are we fine? Okay, there are triangle of management. Yes. That was an example, Amira. Amira, we talked about the tower. It was an illustrative example. They need to create with some papers and other things, not a real tower. Okay. Now, there are other than the triangle of management. There are more. Actually, there are more constraints. The basic 3 constraints are cost, time, and scope, and then we have other ones as well. One is resources. Now, will I have limitation on resources? Can I go and get other materials which are not available with the panel? You remember that we said the materials can be purchased from the panel, right? Can I go and purchase? Can I go and bring other materials which are not there? Can I use them? Okay. So you have certain limitation in terms of resources. You cannot exceed these. If I have, for example, 10 laborers, I cannot do the work of 20 laborers. Are we okay? I have certain limitation in terms of resources. Are we fine? So resources involves 3 things. Resources involves materials, involves machinery, and involves manpower. Manpower are labor, machinery are machines, and then we have materials. 3 things. Are we okay? We are fine? For example, let's say that let's say I have one crane tower. You know a crane tower? That is the crane used for building big buildings. Okay, it's like a crane. It's a tower crane. Okay, I have only one. Like I own one. My company owns one. Can I go and do the project of Oman Mall, for example? The tower crane is a machine, or it's an instrument, or it's a tool where we are transferring items from a place to another place. It's a huge tower crane. Okay, I have only one. Can I go and do what you call Oman Mall, for example, where they are having actually now 200, maybe 200 tower cranes? So I have certain limits, right? My limit is one. I have only one. I cannot go more than the limit. Are we fine? Rafa, yeah. Okay. Amr, you can incorporate others if it's possible. Sometimes it's not possible. So you have certain limits as well. Are we okay? Okay. The other one is quality. Okay, the other one is quality. Okay, the other one is quality. Now, when you talk about quality, can you give me an example of quality? Can you give me an example? How quality will be a constraint? Okay, let me, since there are no, I mean, there's no much time, I'll just give you an example so you will understand. Okay, materials used. Let's say that I have agreed with a contractor that I want all the interior of my house to be a granite. Okay, so I agreed with him in the contract that he should use granite in my building. Is it possible for him to change from granite to tiles? Okay, once again, why? Because there was a limit. There was a certain criteria. Okay, this criteria says that you need to go for granite. You cannot shift for tiles unless you inform me and I agree about it. Quality means you are already putting a certain standard. There is a certain standard. You cannot go lesser than this standard. Are we okay? I'll give you another example. Let's say that I have a factory. Okay, let's say that I have a factory. Okay, a factory which is making juice. Okay, so I'm producing, or water, let's say water. So this is a bottle of water which is 250 ml. Okay, 250 ml. Now, can I put only 100 ml inside this bottle and start selling it? It's actually having a capacity of 250 ml. Can I put 100 ml and start selling it? Is it possible? Or can I sell it like this now, which is not full? Is it possible? Why? Why you cannot sell it? Why it cannot be sold? It cannot, no, it's not about shape. It cannot be sold because there is a certain standard. Here, the bottle says it's 250 ml. Okay, 250 ml. I can go, for example, plus minus 5 ml extra or lesser. So I can have, like, for example, 245 is acceptable, 246 is acceptable, 255 is acceptable. But I shouldn't go too less or too high as well. Too high, I'm going to lose. Too less, customers are not going to be accepting this product. Are we okay? Are we fine? When we talk about quality, we talk about that there is a standard and we should follow this standard. Okay? And the standard in construction, the standards in construction is going to be the contract that you are referring to. Okay. Last thing is going to be a risk. Okay, last thing is going to be a risk. Can anybody tell me? Okay, can anybody tell me what's the meaning of risk? Is it something negative or something which is positive? Negative. Okay. Okay, so it's actually it's not negative. Okay, it's not negative. It is both negative and positive, as Ashwaq said. Okay, we didn't say danger. Okay, we didn't say danger. Danger is something which is negative. Risk, when you translate it in Arabic, it's مخاطرة. So the risk can go positive and can go negative. Like, for example, one example, and then I'll stop here. Okay, let's say that I was planning to purchase steel bars for my project. Okay, I was planning to purchase steel bars for my project. Today's rate for the ton was 180 riyals. Okay, 180 riyals for the ton. Okay. Now I said I'll not take the take the steel bars today because I don't require them today. I'll take them after 1 month. Now, after 1 month, the price dropped to 120. Was it a positive risk or a negative risk? Today, the price was 180. I came up after 1 month. The price of the steel dropped to 120. Is it a positive risk or a negative risk? I have taken a risk. Was it good or bad? See, the price was 180. Okay, the price was 180. Okay, after 1 month I came. Now the price, instead of paying 180, I'm paying 120. Is it something good for me or something bad? Once again, the current price is 180. Okay, the current price is 180. After 1 month I came, the price is becoming 120. Is it something good for me or bad? It's something which is good, right? Something which is good. So here I have taken a risk, but that risk turns to be a positive risk rather than becoming to be a negative risk. Are you okay? I took a risk, but that risk was positive. It wasn't negative. Are we fine? Okay. Another example. It was 180, but after 1 month, it became to be 250. And I could have purchased this today for 180, but I decided not to purchase it today. I decided to take a risk. And what has happened? Instead of paying 180 today, I paid 150. I'm going to pay 250. Is it bad or is it good? It's bad. So I have taken a risk, but that risk was negative rather than being positive. Are you okay? So risk can be both positive and negative. The only thing that we need to control or we need to do is to control it. Are we okay? And we are going to learn when to say that this particular risk is okay to be taken or this risk is too huge to be taken, which will cause our project to stop. Are we fine? Okay, we'll learn in the upcoming lectures how to decide whether this risk is okay to be taken or this risk is huge to be taken. Okay? Yes, Amr. By the way, we have finished the lecture because it's already 11:30. So if you don't have any question, you are free to leave. I'll just answer Amr, and then test 1 and test 2, yes, they will be online. Nothing is offline. Everything is online only. Not decided yet. I have already explained it. Test 1, test 2 are going to be online. Final is not yet decided. It can be physical if things are okay. Okay. Till that time, it has been decided. Let me know. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any feedback, whether you want me to do something, you want me to reduce something, whether you want me to speed up, to slow down, just write it in the comments or contact me personally. And inshallah, I'll take that into account. Thank you very much and see you in the upcoming lecture.